The Hekataeon by Jack Grayle is one of the most sought after, most popular books by arguably, in my opinion at least, one of the most important occultists of the Western tradition of, I'm going to go ahead and say of all time. I think, in my opinion, in my personal opinion, of the occultists that we know of today and who are, whether they're currently contributing or whether they've been contributing over the past centuries, I think that Jack Grayle is, yes, among the most important. I think that what he's doing is of utmost importance. Okay, what we're currently looking at here is the fourth edition of his book. Beautiful, beautiful edition, published directly by Jack Grayle in collaboration with Miskatonic Books. This is Grayle Press, and you can see what a lovely, lovely job they've done. This is like a very thick tracing paper on the front here, and this is artwork by Rowan E. Cassidy, who contributed a number of pieces of art to the third edition. Right, this is the fourth edition, so it's like a re-edition of the third edition, in a slightly different format and with a little bit extra. Rowan E. Cassidy has actually reworked all of the sigils in this book. So you'll recognize, if you've had a look at the first or second editions from Ixaxar, so that was the original first and second editions, you'll recognize the photography here. But the sigils here, yeah, you'll recognize probably Rowan E. Cassidy's unmistakable style, right? They've all been reworked like that. Now, what can I say next? Maybe talking to the point of the differences between the Grayle Press editions and the the Ixaxar editions. The Ixaxar editions, in my opinion, are a little bit more delicate than these latest two editions. You can see that these pages are slightly glossy, and that is the perfect choice, of course, for making this artwork really pop. Right, it's absolutely beautiful. However, at 2 points in this book, this is a devotional book. It's not a book on the history of Hekate, although Jack does cover the history of Hekate. If you are just intending to read this to get a feel for who Hekate is and how people approach Hekate, then you will get that. That's absolutely fine. However, it is designed for the practitioner who wants to approach Hekate in a devotional manner and in a sorcerous manner. So not just praying to Hekate, but expecting a to and from kind of relationship with Hekate, where both parties are getting something out of the deal, as it were. So maybe a little word for those of you who aren't familiar with the goddess, the Greek goddess Hekate. She was one of the Titans, one of the original Titans who were deposed by the gods, right? Zeus deposed the Titans. But Hekate was the one Titan or Titaness who was not shackled, right? She remained allowed to go about her business, and her business was the business of looking after the liminal places, the places in between. But that, of course, also gave her dominion over the places that the in-betweens lead from and to. And so Hekate is seen as a goddess of heaven, earth, and hell, of all the spaces and the spaces in between. And it's a very, very powerful relationship that is proposed through these pages, and you can understand why this book goes out of print within days of being announced, every time there's a new edition, right? Every single time. So this one was out of print way before, as in it was sold out, should I say, way before it even reached the printing press, right? So by the time people were receiving their copies, there was absolutely no possible way of getting your hands on these. However, it is the fourth edition, and I'm guessing that given the popularity of the book, given the success of the book, given the demand for the book, there's no doubt going to be a fifth edition. So I'm not going to make the same mistake that I made with the third edition, where I was thinking, well, it's already sold out. What's the point in doing a review? It's not going to help anyone out. Everyone who's been looking for the book, or is in two minds about buying the book, they've already bought the book, or it's not available for them. So yeah, what's the point? So this is why I'm making the review now, is because I think that there'll be a fifth edition and a sixth edition and a seventh edition. In fact, I'd be very, very surprised if that were not the case. All right, let's talk a little bit about the way this is constructed, right? So the construction of the book is in the contents of the book. You have four different parts. The first part is a 9-day ritual where you're going to be building up an approach to Hekate. Here we go. I think it finishes over here, something like this. Yes. So every day you are given something to visualize. You're given something to say out loud, and little by little you're approaching Hekate. And on the final day, you are given a method to find out whether you should proceed or not. It's a divination method, a very elegant divination method for deciding whether you should proceed or not. If the answer's no, then you just start again from the beginning. If it's a third time you've started from the beginning and you're still being told no, then the recommendation is maybe start looking elsewhere. Maybe think about a different praxis or a different entity to approach, which I think that's really healthy, because as in so many initiations, we're asked to make a pledge really before we really know whether the pledge is right for us or not. And this mechanism of knowing through divination whether the pledge is right for us or not in advance is there's something healthier than not having that in that action, in my opinion. Yeah. So you've seen already that the pictures inside are in color. The sigils and the images by Rowan E. Cassidy are in black and white. Very, very cool stuff. There is an additional series of rites towards the back, created for the third edition and reproduced here in the fourth edition by, and I forget, I know Samuel. I'm forgetting the names. Just a minute. Samuel David, of course. I was looking for the contents page. There's quite a bit of material before the book actually gets started over here. So Samuel David, Zememe Jehuti, right? And let me try and get a better view here. Amaya Rourke, who are adding a few rites here, the rites of the stars, three black dogs. So Hekate is associated with the black dog, and these are black dogs from other traditions who might be conflated with Hekate. The PGM, the Greco-Egyptian magical papyri, were a highly syncretic tradition or at least set of spells, and so this really makes sense in that context, in the context of the magic of late antiquity in the Egyptian Greco-Egyptian areas. So yeah, a little quick look at the table of contents. And I'm just going to repeat a few things here. I am always amazed at Jack's desire and ability to make this very powerful, very niche material available and accessible to anyone who wants to access it. There's no, I talked about, dropping a drop of blood onto the book at the beginning, and that might make it sound like a really, dark fluff kind of nonsense that you might find in a Become a Living God kind of silliness. There couldn't be more of a world of difference between this and that, right? The drop of blood that is expected of you. There is this option to use pomegranate juice. Pomegranate being the fruit associated with Persephone, one of the goddesses with whom Hekate is conflated. So even if a drop of blood from your finger is too much, too intense for you, then you can go with the pomegranate juice. However, you should nevertheless be aware that Hekate is not she's not a fluffy unicorn. She is queen of heaven and earth and hell, and the practitioner is expected to be comfortable with exploring at least all three of these areas. She is a threefold goddess, and bearing that in mind, how important it is to make the access approachable and not just dark for the sake of dark. It is as dark as it needs to be, not any darker nor any less dark than it needs to be, than the reality of the goddess Hekate, right? But the practitioner is also expected to explore the light, because Hekate is not only goddess and queen of the underworld. She is goddess of all the realms, and so that to me is something very special. That to me is something beyond the dark fluff. This really is looking at the true face of divinity. So yeah, fantastic stuff. If you've taken the Hail Hekate course, you'll recognize a lot of what's going on in here. A lot of the technology is explained, maybe not as I think that if you're only after the knowledge rather than a direct relationship, I'd say that the Hail Hekate course is probably the right solution for you. That will give you the option of such a relationship, right? But it's mostly about understanding Hekate and exploring the history of and around Hekate, and the traditions, and the technologies and the sorcery of and around Hekate. Whereas this is actually it's a workbook. You are going to be performing rituals, saying things aloud, in order to put you in direct relationship with Hekate. It's an essential book, and whatever edition you can get your hands on, if you can get your hands on a copy of the Hekataeon, then there's no possible way you can regret it. There we go. It's terrific stuff. I hope you enjoyed the review. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up, and you click that like button, and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed what you saw today, and if you'd like to see a little bit more of the same kind of thing. Yeah, congratulations to Jack Grayle on having produced something deeply, deeply important. Yeah, the likes of which is kind of difficult to come by nowadays. Fantastic stuff. Thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves and of each other, and see you very soon with another video. Bye bye.